I start with the pouring of inks, allowing them to flow with varying levels of translucency. This is a creative collaboration with the sun, so I'm trying to hold space in my practice for sunlight to pour through and pick out details, textures, colours and cast shadows. So my role is this slow, gradual gathering together of fragments of memory and archives and conversations and ideas through inks and drawings to create an artwork that explores the nature of our relationship to the sun today and how it's changed through space and time. My name is Bryony Ella. I'm the research artist at Melting Metropolis, which is an environmental history project looking at the everyday lived experience of urban heat islands in London, Paris, New York and Port of Spain. I've been embedded in an international team of historians, geographers, ethnographers and community engagement storytellers for a couple of years now. And out of this time are two sister public engagement projects, a live performance that is still to be developed, and this sculpture, which I'm calling My Body is a Sundial. This project is really my reflecting on the challenges of researching an invisible force such as heat, and the concept of the body as an archive, an organic record of our relationship with the sun inside our cities. So 12 of these panels will stand in the courtyard of Orleans House Gallery in London as a kind of inverted sundial, with the paintings changing as we move from spring to summer, night to day, and they will be encased inside steel representing the city. But inside are these altering abstract layers of inks, which are expressions of an intimate sensory-led consideration of how I'm shaped by the sun in our cities and how our cities hold and shape the sun in return. We're now in Twickenham in South London, where the sculpture has been installed. So it's really exciting to see them standing and in conversation with each other and watching visitors move through them and discover different shapes, shadows and reflections there. We're in Orleans House Gallery, which has a wider programme called Cultural Reforesting. So Melting Metropolis has contributed the sculpture to that exhibition. And today I'm meeting with a wider team of creatives to talk about how we can extend the stories of My Body's a Sundial into a live performance that's participatory and that will happen on solstice. So that's really exciting.
4 times a year they're the same, but the rest of the year...
It was through talking to sundial expert Chris Lusby-Taylor that I happened across the concept of the sundial not only as a record of solar time, but also solar intensity. So I invited him into workshops with practitioners in music, movement and lighting as we developed a performance called Stand of the Sun, which is referenced both to solstice and also to the body as a gnomon tracking the sun. And we're developing here an experience very much grounded in the real dangers and inequities of urban heat islands that the Melting Metropolis academics are researching, but also introducing imagination exercises of being in conversation with the sun, questioning the direction of blame and imagining how our cities and bodies feel from the solar perspective.
It's important to extrapolate the sculpture. I'm like imagining it as an extension.
My name's Rachel and I'm the lighting designer for the piece. My practice is based in a lot of immersive experiences and outdoor theatre and dance. I was really interested in being a part of this project because I'm interested in climate change and how we tackle that, but also urban heat. And I'm from a part of America that is quite dangerous to be outside during some times of the year. So it's kind of been a constant in my life growing up and my lived experience to kind of be really aware of the heat and to like have reverence for it.
Rhythmical and nearly repetitive, and that works really well.
So my name is Antoine Marc. My background is in dance and film. I was drawn to be a part of this project as an opportunity to work again with Bryony. I was really interested into how she looked at the sun from a community perspective, but also how its influence has been evolving throughout different cities and how our relationship with the sun has been evolving through time.
In terms of voice, I think that we'll have more of words forming and falling in and out.
My name is Bumi Thomas. I'm a sight and sound artist. I've worked with the principal artist Bryony Ella before on the Colors of Transformation. With this project, the Melting Metropolis, the idea of modern heat in urban cities and how these rising temperatures are making it almost unbearable to be a part of the artificial ecosystem. And so I was really, really drawn to musicalizing that and inviting the audience to go on that journey with us through the different moods and states, the tension between the old ways and the new ways, the past and the future. And then also to see how we could ingest and position and explore these concepts through performance, dance, voice, and material sculpture.
A lot of this installation started life in the States. I spent 9 months there last year working with Dr. Kara Schlitting, who's leading the Melting Metropolis research there. And we together developed a workshop called Drawing Heat and took people on guided tours of Manhattan, Brooklyn and Queens. And Kara shared archival images and historical narrative to really illuminate how the urban heat island effect emerged in these different boroughs. And then I developed some drawing activities that are kind of loosely based on my wild drawing practice, which is all about kind of sensory, experimental mark making in relationship to the environment. And so these drawings were in response to the heating of our cities and the bodily impact and experiences of that, as well as our memories of summers past. And a lot of those drawings are the basis of these panels here, further developed through working with the other historians, ethnographers, geographers on the team, as we think about the real physical and psychological impacts of holding the sun too close. Okay, so what we've got going on today is we've brought together the lighting team, the sound team and some of the dancers, and also our researchers. It was really important to bring the academic team into this, to share with them the story that I've been developing in response to their research, and sense check the messaging that we're wanting audiences to walk away with, what is the purpose of this? What impact are we hoping to achieve?
So, one of the reasons this project was so exciting is because it embeds public engagement and community engagement throughout. So I've been working really closely with Bryony, our research artist, in kind of thinking about how we tell stories. And whilst I'm doing it in a kind of community engagement strand, Bryony is already in the process of exploring that for public audience.
And I've really learned to think of us all as storytellers operating kind of in different mediums. And it's really fascinating to, as a historian, think of myself as a storyteller, but I am first and foremost. And the work that you do, Anna, with community engagement is deeply committed to the storytelling process. And the narratives that come out of this are really powerful and potentially transformative.
I think it works well, the collaboration between historians and artists on our project, because we really took our time with it. We started talking about the sources that might be available to Bryony, a year and a half ago. It was a long time of thinking about what I could find in the archive that would be useful to her, and that asks me to look at my archive differently.
As a historian, I spend a lot of time, flipping through old documents. So I'm trying to pull out a lot of the real gems that we have that speak to past human experience, that think about the ways in which people have navigated similar challenges in the past, and think about what we can learn from the past for the present, as well as the future. And so many of the primary sources have then been infused into the public installation that Bryony put together. And we hear voices from the past echoing into the present and then allowing us to reimagine better futures.
For me, the creative methodology captures the sense in which climate and urban heat does come with diverse experiences. And I think creative methodology is able to capture that diversity, to portray it in multiple ways that, again, would be relevant for different groups. I think similarly with creatives, they're able to engage a completely different audience and bring people's concerns, people's lived experiences, people's emotions when it comes to the whole idea of climate and urban heat in ways that perhaps the scientists wouldn't be able to do.
I found it really interesting, the idea of like mortality, temporality, fragility. Just bearing in mind that the fragility of the body is so different depending on your circumstances.
Those are the things that you're, with the contemporary dancers, starting to explore how to express those, right?
With e-stroke and things like that, obviously there are some off balances, people passing out. Some physical aspects, how do we react when we touch something really hot? Our body tends to convulse naturally as a reaction, but also to workshop the absence of the sun.
So today we're doing a test day of some of the sound and lighting elements, and one thing that we were hoping to test with the lighting is to see how much we can light through the sculpture and use it to extend the colors and the patterns so that it can wash over the audience and they can feel a part of it. So some of my research that I've looked at is looking at light therapy, so using bright lights to try to tap into that serotonin that the brain needs and sees and makes when it sees the sun. We're also working with a sound healer, so I'm going to try to match some of my research and my lighting with some of the sound they're doing.
The instruments that we have very much are almost a deconstruction of My Body is a Sundial sculpture, and also it reflects the different geographies of the research from the Melting Metropolis. So we have themes of steel, glass as far as the materiality, this notion of like chambers and vacuums that are created by buildings, and then we have the voice, the spirit, and having the harmonic convergence of voices as not just the sound of humanity, but also the celestial sound, and the ideas and the moods that we are exploring through this.
So I've started writing alongside painting, and this has been really about me trying to surface questions embedded in the artwork and seeded by Melting Metropolis. So, like, what would I ask if I could speak to the sun? And how would the sun respond? And as this is an international project being developed in a moment when major significant world powers are choosing to divest in climate research and power environmentally destructive industries, and it's really definitely coloured my my creative process. You know, so much of this I feel is me trying to kind of share a bit of a cautionary tale with my fellow British citizens. And the heat in New York is nothing like I've ever experienced before. I think I really needed that experience to be able to fully understand the real risks of the urban heat island effect. So the paintings and the language I'm using in the script really draw from Melting Metropolis's research into experiences of generations that came before us, and look to deeper time too, and how our ancestors related to the sun. While the sculpture is really about the human experience, the performance will introduce the more than human voice, and I'm hoping take us on a journey from outer space into the urban landscape. This is really an embodied experiment in temporarily occupying macro, deep time, less human-centric perspectives with humility and reverence. All of my works have loads of layers to them because I find it impossible to describe the natural world in a way that's kind of so binary and simple. And so I just knew before starting this sculpture that I wanted to bring in further layers of dance and lighting and music to be able to, as fully as possible, express this multi-dimensional grappling, the fear, the apathy, the joy, the wonder, the longing, the recoiling of humans from the sun, the bodily reality of not being evolved to withstand this too closeness, to help me balance data with wonder, because there's only so much that painting can do. So we're on the night of the live performance. We're going to be starting in about 20 minutes, and we've got people taking their seats. And the timing's kind of perfect. There's a heat wave in London at the moment, so it's definitely on topic.
It was magical. The music was lovely, the dancers were incredible. It went from sort of the dark and then sort of the energy and the light.
I thought it was really enlightening. It was so beautiful. I think it was really fitting that it was happening around sunset as well, because the combination of the lights with the dimming of the lights at night was amazing.
You could sense the depth of research, the passion, the quality of this thing from the minute we walked in. But it really honestly connected me with three things. It connected me first of all with this place and with the nature that we're in. It connected me with the sun, and it connected me with all the people that were there last night. Because whether you were part of the show creating it or whether you were just an audience, and I was just an audience, we literally felt that we were part of something spiritual.
Just wonderful to see the research, the thinking, the artistic practice that has gone into producing an amazing performance that really thinks about history on different levels. Bryony captured the complexity of that relationship, how it's changed over time, how it can be joyful, how it can be oppressive, and yeah, really exciting to see how things develop in the future.
It's such a interesting way of rethinking how we can have a more kind of positive approach to climate change as well. Like often it's doom and gloom and really puts people off the climate conversations, but this is kind of a more kind of progressive way of engaging and creative. It's hopeful, like a lot of good can come from engaging in these ways.
Everybody I talked to last night was deeply touched and just learned so much about different mediums to express the stories that we are all collecting from different parts of the project, different parts of the world even, and starting to think about how these are all deeply interconnected. And then also part of a shared cosmos. If we think about the sun, if we think about the energy that's produced from the sun and then embodied in our everyday practices. These are lessons that travel time and space in incredibly powerful ways.
And I think that's it. What Bryony's work is kind of doing is she's taking that, she's making it really relatable and like really kind of human and moving and like personal.
The environment generally is so ephemeral, particularly in the past. Military historians can gather together a group of reenactors and try and recreate the battle of whatever, but trying to recreate a past environment is really difficult. So having Bryony's sculpture and the performance around it bring it to life.
It was really exciting also that Bryony is willing to tell an audience of people who are not here to talk about history that this is coming out of urban environmental history and like willing to give credit to something that might seem musty.
We're making it cool.
Yeah. I know, who thought it was possible?
I think there's like also, when I'm thinking about blocking out certain areas of a panel, a lot of it is about like the frustration of not being able to see the complete story of how we got here and where we're going. But then there's these aha moments where the sun breaks through and illuminates different textures, colours, shapes, and casts shadows that alter as the sun rises and sets, and follows the contours of visitors as they pass through the sculpture. And I think this whole project really is about trying to recognise that we are part of something far grander than one single dominant narrative. And then of course the clouds come or night falls and we might lose that clarity, but I really tried within the performance to illuminate the consistency of the sun. You know, it will return tomorrow. And this awareness and empathy is a muscle that we can strengthen with the same consistency. And I think this echoes the historians' practice who are on this vast international journey of searching through archives and records, surfacing hidden stories and trying to amplify underheard voices, drawing together fragments of human knowledge and experience from across space and time. And my offering in these artworks is really trying to attune our sensing bodies to feel into as many different aspects of perceiving this moment in our history, a deeper sense of community, the richness of collective wisdom. Not to overwhelm, but to gently, compassionately broaden the aperture somehow.